Hello, everyone. Hello, Janice.
Hi, Kate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm really well. I'm just beading along here while I'm saying
While
hello to
we're getting
everyone.
ready. That's
Yeah.
right. Well, good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. It is Kate Richburg and Janice Parsons live for Beadshop.com. And I will tell you, I know that this doesn't look at all like my usual space, so I'll tell you, I'm coming at you from a undisclosed location. And we have a wonderful show for you today. So before we get to that, let me do my due diligence and say just a couple of things. Welcome to everybody who is a regular watcher, and welcome to everyone who's a new watcher here on beadshop.com. We have, we'd love for you to follow us on all of our different social media so we can keep in touch at beadshop.com on Instagram, at the Bead Table on Facebook, and you can hit that like and subscribe button right at beadshop.com on YouTube. Also, today's project, folks, is Janice's newest, and we're going to talk a little bit about the history of the color study as well. But this is her kind of new take on color study. She calls it Hydria, and she's going to be sharing how to ladder with drops and two-hole beads. And you can see we've got a lot of the new things, our new check bars that I'm going to be talking about in a minute, and the quarter tile of beads and new CzechMates tiles. Such a beautiful, beautiful piece that Janice has created for us today. And of course, folks, remember, sign up for our newsletter because we give you great discounts, great sneak peeks, all that great stuff behind the scenes. And right now, I don't know if you knew, but I'm going to tell you, March is National Craft Month. So if you use Craft 10, you save 10% off, $35 or more. Craft 15, 15% off $50 or more, or Craft 20, 20% off $75 or more. And it is on the homepage at beadshop.com. So if you don't get this, just jump on over, take a look at the homepage. You'll see it there. So Janice and I are here. We have a bunch of everybody's just jumping on and saying hello. We've got
Yeah.
Geeta over on Facebook saying hello. The collection, you can find this right on our website at beadshop.com. Collections Hydria. So I'm going to add my camera in before I add your camera in, JP. I'm going to add mine here. And I'll tell you, folks, I am on a retreat this week. I'm on a sewing retreat, and I'm in Auburn, California, at the Sisters of Mercy Retreat Center, which why it looks like I'm in a convent because I am. So so we're here sewing. It's a great place to get away. But here I am in the lounge doing our broadcast to you. So, Janice, thank you so much for joining me in the lounge
Oh, my pleasure.
here.
My pleasure.
And I've got your sample here. So we're going
Mhm.
to add Janice's demo camera in with just a second, but I wanted to share your piece here, and then we're going to look at the new CzechMates tiles and bars. Let me make
Okay.
this a little bit bigger. So Janice, you based this off of your color study. Am I
hmm
correct?
Yeah, correct. Yes. Which was one of the first multi-wrap bracelets we did many years ago. Um,
Hmm.
and the original one was called Color Study. And it's linked in the project. So if you go to the link that I actually posted, Kate,
You're
across
so
all, yes, look at that.
genius.
I was
Look at
able
you
to post.
posting and the talent and the backstage.
Just, I'm emulating you, Kate. I'm trying.
But it's right there, Collections and Hydra. Right now, if you're watching us live, it's March 8th. You'll see it on the homepage of the website at beadshop.com.
Okay. Am I
Yeah,
supposed
okay.
to talk now?
No, okay, okay, okay. But
Okay.
this is the wrap. So you're going to teach us a few things today. These are
Yeah.
our fairly new, these are our Miyuki drops that
Uh-huh.
we've got here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about these CzechMates bars, which I want to show you real quick. And then we've got some new CzechMates tiles in. So Janice, why don't I'm going to move these CzechMates bars and the tiles in. Um, the bars are new for us, right?
Yes.
So
Yes, they are.
how do these work with the tiles?
They are, they're like, it's almost like 3 to 1. So the tile
Hmm.
is 6 by 6, and this is 2 by 6. So you
Hmm.
need, excuse me, you need 3 of them. If you look on the
I'm going to
bracelet, if
open
you
these
hold
up.
the bracelet up, you'll see that almost of course, there's going to be a slight difference, because if it measures 2 by 6 and you're putting three next to each other,
Whoops.
they're going to be a little wider than a 6 by 6, which is solid top to bottom. So they're just a little tiny bit bigger when you're laddering. Um, but I never mind the in and out of the slight waviness of the
Yeah, and
leather.
you can see that actually here. I think
Yeah.
it adds a lot to this piece. And you can see there's the checkmates tiles over here on the left. These are 8/0s that are right here.
Mhm.
So can you see that there's three 8/0s stacked up? Now here we've got four of the quarter tilas, and then here four of the 11/0s and one of the checkmates tiles. Now I also wanted you to notice how Janice started this, and we're going to go over all of this
Yeah.
step by step. But see how she laddered up, right? Like this, so that there's one, then two, then three, and then went into the design. So it's a great way to kind of taper up. Also, you can see Janice used infinity stitch with this piece. So we're going to talk about the thread and stuff she used. But she also used these Miyuki drops. Can you see that? And so from the back, you can see those drops form almost like a little trough there,
Mhm.
but they sit really nicely on top of this wrap. I think they look great. And there's three of the Miyuki drops across, which is great. And so if you go to the project page, you'll be able to see the what we call the project map. A couple of things, JP, before we get started,
Mhm.
there's a couple of comments that I wanted to highlight on the screen. So Curtis says, and thank you, Curtis, how cool to be in the convent surrounded by women to celebrate International Women's Day. So, yes, thank you. Happy International Women's Day to all of our women identifying viewers out there. It is great to be kind of in a very creative and reflective space today, for sure. And Janice, you have a lot of props for your piece. My mom says it's beautiful and she absolutely loves the color. Um,
Well, it's your
Lynette
mom's
asks,
colors.
it is, it's my mom's
It's your
color. Lynette
it's
is
Gwen's
saying,
colors.
it is. It's her colors. Do you have this in a kit? And we didn't kit it, Lynette. So you can go right over to beadshop.com, go to that project page. We have the listing of everything that Janice used. There's also a listing to the categories, so you can pick your very own colorway for that as well. And folks, if anything is sold out because you folks jumped on this early today, things are going to be back in pretty quickly. So make sure and put yourself on the notification if by chance something is already run out of stock. It'll come back in really quickly.
I would like to
So
say,
bear with
Kate,
us with that.
though, that on the
Uh-huh.
side of the page of Hydria, there's
Hmm.
a list of, like, pick a pick a CzechMates bar, pick
Right.
a tile.
Hmm.
I really, this is sort of a sample, giving you some, us a guideline of what you can do. But I'm hoping that if we're sold out of something, um, that
Just choose a
at
color that you love.
throw in another color, exactly,
Yeah.
or change it out to a different colorway. Everything that we're out of stock on has been ordered and is coming back in. Some of it just has to be entered into stock, and it'll be back in even today or later tomorrow, or later today or tomorrow. But there's so many different colorways that can be used to
Yeah.
create your own. So
Yeah. And the colorways on these bars, I'm really excited
yeah,
to start playing around with those.
yeah,
Kim
fun.
Crawford says, and I think it's a great comment. She says, Color Study is the original, a true classic in classic JP colors. It is one of her favorite inspirational pieces of all time. And it's really true. If you go to Color Study, folks, and you download the handout, Janice talks about so much about design, about putting it together. So start with that handout. And then today, what Janice is going to share with you, you can kind of mash it up. At the sewing retreat I'm at, we're sewing patterns by a pattern designer named Tina Givens. And that's her style as well. We're doing kind of this crazy improvisational sewing, which sounds a little more difficult than improvisational beading, but it's the same thing. You take a basic shape or style like this color study, and you mix it up with other techniques that are your favorites, other colors that are your favorites, and pretty soon you'll have your very own classic that works exactly for you. So
And I'm right in the middle. I just Gita, I know, is also doing it, but I just
she
posted
is.
the handout,
Oh,
and
great.
now I'm going to go to the color study. Um, we have so many projects on laddering.
Yeah.
It's
It
uh,
is. We're Ladder Central. Well, we'll let Janice go ahead and post that, and then we'll get Janice started. But while she's doing that, folks, we also have a lot of really new colors on these CzechMates tiles. The tiles are a little beefy.
oh,
That's
here.
not the right word, but they're just they're one of my favorite beads. It really skews vintage for me. Two old beads always say vintage in my book. And now that we have the short little bars to go with them, the vintage possibilities are endless. I really like this. This is the bronze, oxidized bronze
Mm.
clay. Look at look at those. So pretty. So you can't really go wrong as I have this mess of beads in front of me. So JP, you're going to talk about a few things today. We're going to ladder with the tiles. We're going to
Mhm.
ladder with the bars. You're going to show how to ladder with the Miyuki drops. So let's go over some of the materials that you used and let's just jump on in.
Okay.
I'm going to remove my thing there and I'm going to put this over. Now, you've used the leather that you've used is a 1 millimeter leather.
It
Is that
is.
right?
It is. Uh, Partially the reason is because on the magnetic clasp that I used, um, the hole size is 1.6, and the size of the opening on the leather uh, the clasp is 1.6, and the leather is 1.5 for the little thicker leather,
Right.
and there it's just a little too tight. So
Mhm.
you can do what I did, which was you can add a jump ring, um,
Mhm.
so
I'm going
that
to
there's
show
a
that up
little more
close.
wiggle. There was no wiggle really on the or very little wiggle. I've got
Can
a
you
piece
folks see
of
that
the
there?
1.0 here, and then I have the magnetic clasp in in the black and gold patina, and it works. I don't know. Can you see that? It does work.
Mhm.
But if you were to get the smaller magnetic clasps, the 1.0 is pretty tight.
Mhm.
So this one is a little bigger, but just have your jump rings, like a heavy duty jump ring handy so that
Yeah.
you can give it a little wiggle. And the reason I have a couple of extra jump rings there is because I was just so excited about ending it. I
Mhm.
made it just a little too short for me.
Mm.
So I
Mhm.
just said, okay, I'm just adding some jump rings
Some
to it.
rings. Yeah, it's great. And what I love about this 1 millimeter, and you use 1 millimeter leather to ladder
I
much more
do a
than I do.
lot. Yes, I
And I
do.
need to remember that because it really makes the beads go forward in the design.
Mhm.
It really, it's not all about the leather cord. The one
Mhm.
millimeter is plenty thick to hold
Mhm.
everything nicely, but it does bring the beads forward, which I like. So let me go and
Well, let me
highlight
show
your,
you here
uh-huh.
before we go on. I am working on an on-air sample, and
Hmm.
um, this is 1.5. At least I think it is.
Hmm. I
It's
think it is too.
heavier. It's
Yeah.
heavier than the Seafoam 1.0.
Hmm.
But it's so hard to really know exactly. Um, Even if you measure it, it can go bigger and thicker, it can go a bit finer, even further down the spool. So, but I wanted to try, like, if you hold up the original and you see that on the seafoam, it looks very different than when you use a dark leather. So I just wanted
Hmm.
to mention that.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. What are we talking about now?
Oh,
I've
let's just
already
jump
forgotten.
in. Yeah, see, so thanks everybody. See you later. So let's talk with so the threads that you use the 1 millimeter leather, and then most of this you use the KO, I believe, Janice,
I
is what you
only
use.
used KO. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
show how I macrame at the beginning, and then I add a thread and macrame at the end,
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
to finish it. But in this
So
particular sample,
mm-hmm.
which I did start, um, you can see here where I've macrameed to begin, and
Mm-hmm.
I add the two threads. This is an alley thing. I put the threads up with the needle into the
Mm-hmm.
macrame, and then I start my
Start your
infinity.
macrame the other way. Yeah. And what I really like, and folks, you can see that on the screen, that taper with the CzechMates bars. It
Yes.
really adds an air of elegance to the start of this bracelet. I just really like it. And you can see Janice's clasp that she used. It's another one of our magnetic clasps from Tiara Cast that we just love. A nice heavy duty um,
It's called Two
clasp.
Halves, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. I really like the addition of some of these nice, strong magnetic clasps on these
Mhm.
pieces. So why don't we jump in, JP, and
Okay.
let's see how we give this a start.
Okay. Um, we went over the materials, right? We've gone
We
over
did.
everything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Before we go through like all the materials, I want to show, I know we just got these in. Um, that just fell. I wanted to show everybody. Kate, can you put me back up? How do
Oh,
I do
sure. Here, I got you.
that? Okay, so
There
I
you are.
wanted to show everybody. We always talk about storage or think about it, and I wanted to show you how I use these. And I use these with the checkmates, and I use these with the jump rings. And so I want to just show you. Um, this one is the keeper jars, and
I love. Oh,
all
look at
my
those! How
all my
delicious.
checkmates tiles. Now, some of you are going to want to put the codes on them. I myself don't like looking at like little bits of white, paper on top of the thing. So I just will go and refer to it online and find the number and everything.
Yeah,
So
you could also put it on the bottom too, so you wouldn't have
I
to see
could,
them.
I could. But
Hmm.
in the moment of organizing things,
Right.
I will use the tape to put what it is on the side
Hmm.
so that I can see it from the front, but I don't have the time.
No time. No time.
No time. And then I use these. I love these keepers. These are called keeper flips. And I love these for the
Right,
uh,
the seed beads and stuff.
crimps and
Yeah.
crimp covers, because you can, like, you want to travel, you're going to work with a project, you can just take the crimp covers you want. So I
Right.
like
That looks
that for
great.
that. That looks like this. I feel like a fuller brush salesman. Um,
That's right.
and then
Well,
the
they're
last
really
one,
cool. We've curated these containers. We really love them and we
yeah,
use them.
yeah. Well, I ordered a bunch of them and different styles, and I tried them all. And
Hmm.
there's a couple more we're going to add, but these three are uh, like
The
they're
bee's
just,
knees.
yeah.
Yes.
And then I love this little tray. This is the one I like for jump rings.
Oh,
So
that
if
looks
I'm
great.
going on a trip or something, I can keep one of these empty and then put like the jump rings I want in or beads I want in for the trip. But
Hmm.
there's something about, like this top. I love that this top
Just
comes
slides right
off
off.
like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
So,
I
uh,
like those a lot.
yeah. So
Yeah.
now I
And
have to
we're
pick
gonna
the
do,
project up off the floor. So you have to
oh,
give me a minute.
oh, uh-oh.
No,
Well,
it's fine.
here, I
It's
will put, I'm gonna put the beads back on, Janice, and you let me know when
okay.
you're done.
You can say
So,
to everybody, okay?
what's that?
Okay.
So here's, I'll just give you another flash of those beauties. I the bars that we've gotten in, we have a whole bunch that came in like some metallics, which is great to add a little flash of light into your piece. We also has um we also have this kind of blue, this sapphire color that's awesome. I love it. There's a question here, Erica, you have, is the gray box flocked? It is not. It's a hard plastic, so it stays really, really clean. And Millie, if you go under storage, they are. They're all up on the website. And
Mhm.
someone's asking about the tech. There is a lag time between YouTube and Facebook, which one streams faster. I have no idea which one's faster. The different platforms, I think, throttle the live at different rates. So I have no idea. They're pretty close to real time, both of them. Probably there isn't a lag of probably more than 30 or 45 seconds. So they all are close, but I'm sorry, I can't give you any more of an answer on that. The different platforms kind of stream at different rates. So, JP, shall we look at
Yes.
your project?
Yeah, and the nice thing about the tray falling is that there was nothing on it.
Oh,
I'll just hold it up.
oh,
Let me
here, I'll show you. Here, I got you
So I
there.
wanted to show you the board to begin with. It's like this, and
Hmm.
I have to learn right to left. I don't go on enough. So this, use a clip here. I use a clip here, and then I'm going to just take these little needles and thread off. And I go around the back,
Hmm.
and then it's tied. So I've wrapped it. I've started up here. I started up here, and then I go with the two leathers around the board, and then I come here, and then I use twine twine to tie it.
To tighten it.
And
Yeah.
if these get loose, for instance, I can take a spool of Ceylon or something
And
if I
lift it
don't
a
want to
little.
make it too
Hmm.
tight, and I can put it underneath to hold it up. I could put a strand of KO in here standing up if I want to get them wider, or a spool of
Hmm.
Ceylon. But this is how I set up the board. And then I usually, one more thing, I usually have up here, if you're new to laddering, um, put up here like beads go on this side, just to remind
Hmm.
yourself. Because I sometimes I'm just relaxing. I'm listening to a book, and I've brought it through to the opposite side. Oh, I'm doing great. Oh, I'm ready for the next row, and I shouldn't be ready for the next row because
You
I
need to
have
walk it
to
back,
go back.
right?
So just even a little piece of blue tape or something that reminds you, this is my side. This
Right,
is
the
the bead
side you add the beads on.
side. Okay.
Now, Terry has a good question. Can you ladder stitch on a loom, or is the board method easier? Some people do use a loom to ladder. There's different ways that people approach it. Here at Bead Shop, we really love using this bead design board for our laddering. We have enough space that we can keep our beads on there. Like you can see here with Janice's, I'll put it back to this board. You can put your beads on there in little triangles. I like the surface a lot. So that's kind of what we do here. But again, you do you. One of the things that my mom also shared, and people are saying it's a good idea, for any of the printouts or any of the handouts that you have from Bead Shop, she's printed out the ones that really speak to her, and she puts them in a binder and browses through those when she needs an inspiration boost. That comes from the quilter in my mom, right? All the quilt
Mhm.
patterns and everything that go in binders. But it's a really cool way to just kind of be able to thumb through the projects as well. So that's a lot of fun. So, JP,
Yeah.
you started the bead size, the board we're using. It's the the deep dish design tray that we
Right.
carry on Bead Shop. It's about 14 inches long
Mhm.
with the velvet pad on the
Mhm.
inside. So we do
Right.
carry them. Just your standard jewelry tray, so it looks great. Now, where do you want to start? What do you want to tell people how we're going to begin?
I think we want to start at the beginning of
Hmm.
how do we do this. I don't want to labor it for those of you who've done this, 100,000 times with us, but I bet there are a few people out there that have not seen us start this, and so
Yeah,
I would like
100%.
to.
So, yeah, let's get that going
Yeah.
then. Perfect.
So what I've done here is I'm just doing a little sampler of put a clasp on, and then I started with the beads going up, and then I also thought, oh well, let's try with the drops, maybe some patterns or something. And
Hmm.
so what I want to do is I would like to start out and show you side by side. The only thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to imagine here that there's a clasp like there is here. So
Hmm.
I am going to pretend that these two actually loop here, and I'm going to show you this right now. Now, am
Okay,
I
great.
in close enough for
Yeah, you're
everybody?
great.
Is it in
I think it looks
focus?
good. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So one of the reasons I didn't have all of the disaster when my board fell is because I don't keep all my beads on the board. I usually use another board like I showed you with all the ingredients. And then I will, if I need to, I can't really show you here, but I'll tip the tray so I can work more at an angle. I also, for today, I made, so I wouldn't have to waste any time, I made some little needles with some that I used in this one, the smoke green um, KO. I
Hmm.
absolutely love KO. If I was on a desert island with one thread, seriously, it would be
Your
KO.
one, your one desert island thread.
My one
That's
thread,
funny.
yes. So let me, usually what I do is I will start out with about, I want to put this under here so we know beads go on this side. I usually start out with like 2 yards. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
where's my, remind me when I'm not in frame, okay?
Sure, sure.
You have to
You could
remind me.
lift, Janice, if you want just a touch, maybe.
Okay,
Or
let's,
just put it, yeah, there you go. That's good.
okay. Um, okay, so I have here, here's the needle. I love the Sharps 10 for this. It's got a lot of bang for its buck, and I didn't
Mhm.
believe in it until Kate said that's her favorite needle. And I
It
said,
is.
"Oh, I got to try her favorite needle."
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to show you is I use the Sharps 10. It's sturdy. It's not going to break. I want to move
Goes
this
through all the beads.
so it's not interfering. Okay, so I'm going to start, and the way I start my macrame, and we do have lots of learning on this, and we have raise your hand if we've ever said go to our learning section.
That's
Um,
right.
but I start, my left hand has the tails. On this side are the tails. The right side has my needle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the P. So if you start with the Q first, then you would have your needle on the left side. But I start with my P and the P shape. So I have about a 3-inch, 4-inch tail, and I'm just going to pretend this leather is going through a clasp. And here we go. I got that one, and I'm going to go up. There we go. That's up enough that you can see
Yeah.
that. And then I'm just going to go at Kate's speed.
Go to the opposite side and do the
Yeah,
Q.
but the needle is not moving. The needle is
Mhm.
staying. Um, the needle is staying on the right side, even though I use the right threads to make my knots.
And so let me talk a little bit
Yeah.
about this beginning. So Janice is again using that KO doubled. Curtis asked, "Do you wax the KO?" Janice doesn't use a lot of wax. Am I correct on that, JP?
Yes.
You didn't wax this. Sometimes if
No.
I'm feeling like my KO isn't is being unruly, or if I don't know, or if I can find my bar of beeswax next to me, I'll just give it a little swipe. And it helps the two lengths of KO, or the two strands of KO, to kind of stick together a bit. But it just depends. Julie also was saying sometimes KO frays for her. The waxing may help with the fraying. And also with KO, you want to use there's kind of like a sweet spot for the bead hole for the KO. You don't want your hole to be too giant, and you
Mhm.
don't want the hole to be too small. A big hole will allow the KO to move around a bit much, and a small hole will rub on the KO a bit too much. Okay, so once Janice is doing her macrame there, that's under our imaginary clasp, she's doing, I don't know, about 6 to 8
Yeah.
pairs, whatever looks right to you. Okay. So when
I
Janice has decided that that's long enough, um, you're going to send those tails, the short tails, up the macrame to finish that off, right, Janice?
right. Yes. Now I'm not really
Pull that down a little further down. There you go, Janice. Perfect.
okay. Here we go. And I can also, my stitches are fairly tight, but I have enough room where I can push them together a little bit more. And for those of you who are new to macrame, I always have to refer to this because I'm always chatting and chewing. Which side do I do the next stitch on. And if
Mhm.
I'm going to bring this up a little
It's a
closer.
little out of focus that close.
Yeah.
Just kind of show it with the tip of your tweezer, Janice.
Okay.
And you can also see this, folks, when you look at our macrame tutorials, we talk about
Yeah.
this.
Okay. So I'm going to I'm almost done. I'm going to just do one more.
So see how Janice was looking at, so see when the loop comes around, it forms a little scallop is what Janice was referring to. And that scallop side is where you start your loop side. So if you walk away and then you come back and you go, oh, was I macrameing to the left or the
Right.
right? Look and see where that scallop is and where that little scallop or little archway is with the thread. That's the side that you that you make your loop on. Now, pardon me, Kathy's asking if Ceylon can be used in this project rather than KO.
Yes.
Ceylon's going to be a little too heavy, I think. What we want here, Janice is using the infinity stitch, so she's doubled her threads over. And that's part of what makes this successful. You can certainly use Ceylon for laddering. You could use the micro if you wanted, but you just need to match it to the holes of the beads you're
Yeah.
using.
I
Now,
mean, you can do this exact same technique with Ceylon,
yeah.
but Ceylon is not going to go through the holes of the quarter tilas. You might be able to use the micro Ceylon.
But you'd have to use it probably single and not
Yeah,
double.
you could definitely use the Ceylon D would
Ceylon D.
work.
Yeah.
Um,
So notice how Janice ended with her needle on the thread on the left-hand side.
right,
That's
it's over here.
ready now to lather.
Correct, not right, correct. So it's
Yes,
over on this side,
on the left
and
side.
then
And
I'm
what you've
going to take
done,
I threaded
hmm
one of the tails.
hmm
Let me get this up. And now I'm going to just take this and I'm going to bring it up. I use my pliers, my chain nose pliers, to pull that up.
and see how nice and clean that is, and then Janice can just come
Cut
in
it.
and clip the tails.
I
Now,
don't even glue it. I know.
no, and you could, I mean, you could add before the thread makes its last little journey up that macrame and pull that down a little bit, Janice. You're a little bit
Oh,
out of frame.
sorry. You know what's happening?
There you
It's
go.
hitting my stomach. The
No.
board isn't on I should pull the board. I should pull all of this back a ways. Let's put
Yeah,
this
there we
back
go.
a
That looks
ways.
good.
That's better.
And so you could add just a tiny little drop of glue if you wanted, but that's not coming out. So see,
No.
thread that sharps.
Yes.
Go ahead and just slide it. And it doesn't have to go under all of the macrame,
No.
just most of it. And wherever the tip of the needle pops out, let it pop out, pull it through. And now we'll be ready to ladder.
Right. So this
And
one only came out down here, and that's
mhm,
fine. You want to make sure you go up a few stitches. You don't want to
so
just
it's
go
not
up
even there.
one. But
And then under
this is
tension,
such
she
a
clipped it.
handy, beautiful way of, um, I don't have to use a thread burner. I'm not using any glue. It's just
Yeah,
bada
it's
bing,
nice and
bada
neat and
boom.
clean.
And if you
hmm
want to use, let's say you're over here and you want to, macrame, end your threads like here and have a section of just macrame, you can also use this technique at the end of a section.
hmm
So now I'm going to put this needle aside.
Yeah, so now you're just going to start with the taper. Now you could do this with some 11-aughts. You've seen us do this
Mhm,
before. We can do it with 8-aughts, but
mhm.
Janice is doing it with the 2 holes. Again, Janice, you pulled yourself a little out of
I
frame. There you
know, I'm
go.
sorry.
It's all right. I'm just giving you the gentle reminder. It's
Yeah.
harder than it looks, folks.
I
So,
should tape the I should tape the board down so it won't move.
No, but you need to have some movement. Now, again, the leather that Janice is using on the sample might be 1.5 millimeter on this one that she's using in the live sample.
Maybe,
On her
maybe.
Hydria project, pardon me, her Hydria project,
Hmm.
it's the 1 millimeter. So use the leather that works for you. I probably wouldn't go down to the 5,
No,
but anywhere between the 1 to the 2 millimeter will work. So can you see how Janice just strung that tile, that bar, CzechMates bar? The thread is coming over the left-hand side of the leather, under the right-hand side of the leather. She's nestling it right in there. There's a little bit of air that we like to say that's air. Now the needle, now remember these bars are 2 holes. So we're coming through the top hole all the way through like it's one individual bead. Then she's going to, are you going to do that hole one more time or are you just going to drop down to the
yes, I'm
second
going to
one?
reinforce both of them,
Hmm.
actually.
Hmm. The first bead, it's always a good idea to do a little bit of reinforcement so that bead that sets the tone for the rest of the wrap really doesn't move around.
So
So
I
the
have to make
thread
sure I bring that thread under.
underneath,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's where the infinity happens, where you go, it's like a figure eight.
Hmm.
Now I'm going to go back through that one. And this is why the KO works so well, is because you can go through any of these beads that are in this project. You could go through any of them twice.
Hmm.
So Curtis, uh, you were asking about um, uh,
Wax
waxing the
earlier.
thread.
Hmm.
Um, I probably, maybe it would help a little bit. I just have to get going, and then I don't have so many like twisty turnies. I'm going under. I have to go under, but uh, probably waxing for those of you who are new at laddering might work. Kate, how would you do this on a loom? I don't really.
Yeah, so if it were a loom, what you could do, and I've done this on a loom, and I know people do it. People also use like clipboards and stuff for this. But essentially, with the loom, you just bring your leather, let's say, across one set of pegs on the loom. So you've got a long leather strip, and then you bring another leather strip to the right side. And then you would start it just as you did there. You'd macrame, you'd put your cord, your clasp on, macrame it, then you'd have those 2 legs, and they would kind of separate. Like if the loom had some pegs, it would go through the pegs and then maybe wrap up around the back. It just depends on what kind of loom you have, or like we've been using the Ojibwa loom for Emily's seed bead work, and that
Mhm.
one it might work, but the mechanism to hold the thread isn't very deep, right? So the leather wouldn't really nestle in those holding spots. So if you haven't used this board before to do your laddering, we have again some of those. If you go to our tutorials and our learning, you'll see how to attach your piece to a board, all that kind of stuff. It's
Mhm.
super handy, and you don't have to get a bead design tray. You could find something around your house that would work
You can use
nicely,
a
but
shoebox,
yeah, definitely.
the top of a shoebox.
Now, see, Janice has reinforced her first bead. Now she's just going to go regular laddering with
Mhm.
the 2 uh, CzechMates bars. Now she's
Right.
added the 2 in. She's gone through those top holes from the left to the right, and now she's going back from the right to the left, and then she'll drop down to
Mhm.
the second hole. This is where if you have a little bit of a tangle in that loop, that's where sometimes I use my awl to get in
Mhm.
that loop. It helps me kind of tame the masses, but those will once you kind of get it going, like anything else, Anything else, the first couple of rows, the first couple of stitches are a little bit of a challenge. But once you get
Well,
through that, you're.
this right here, Kate, at this
Mhm,
point is where the rubber meets the road, where you
mhm,
have to, if you want a nice even, you don't want it splaying to one side. I remember when
mhm.
I started laddering, was like this was a big side and that was a straight
A
side.
little seed. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
And
right.
now I
Exactly.
take a few minutes, I make sure this is the way I like it. You know, it's fairly even in terms of getting larger, you know, tapering up.
Yeah. And the
Um,
tension, right, the tension on the left-hand thread and the tension on the right-hand thread as it comes through that loops around the leather, it's pretty even.
yeah. I promise I did put hand lotion on 20 minutes ago.
Don't worry, Janice. We have working hands. We are not hand models. We are
Oh,
creatives.
totally not.
Everybody
Totally not hand
understands that.
modeled.
If you want a hand model, go look at a fancy jewelry ad. If you want real life making, welcome to beadshop.com.
Yeah.
So, see, what Janice does is she stops, she pulls at this point. See right here? When the thread is over the leather. Now that it's even, she's going to pop that KO, doubled KO, under the leather on the left hand side. And then you kind of give it one more little tuggy tug. And
Mhm.
that kind of makes everything even out.
So, if any of you have worked with the super duos, which are also two hole,
Hmm.
this is very similar. You're going to know this laddering technique. It's going to be
Hmm.
very familiar to you with these two hole bars. So so then here again, we are going larger.
Hmm.
So we want to make sure we're pressing out evenly on both sides before
Hmm.
we rush through. This is just the kind of the painstaking part when you're beginning. So I'm tugging up to make sure they're also even um, vertically and horizontally. And then I go underneath.
And you can see here that three, that stack of three checkmates tiles. Remember that the stack of three is the same width, the same size as one of the regular larger tiles. So, as you were playing around, Leslie asked, she has some of those Piro's bars. Um, they might, I'm not really as familiar with the sizes of those, Leslie. But again, like what Janice is doing here, she's made kind of this little sampler for us. If you have some beads that you want to kind of play around with and see what fits with what and stuff,
Mhm.
just make a little short little sampler, little Alfie cat wrap bracelet, we like to call them, and check your sizes. And then, decide what you want and then jump in and start creating the real wrap bracelet. So,
Now with my little sampler, Kate, that I did over here,
hmm.
I tried instead of 4 11/aughts, I
Hmm.
used
You did
5.
5. Hmm.
Um, it didn't change how many 8s I used. I tried putting 4 on, that was too much. I
Hmm.
tried putting 4 on of the little drops, that was too much. And over
Hmm.
here, I'm doing a little sampler. I said, "Oh, let me see if I can make little flowers."
Hmm.
Um,
They're
this
cool. They
is
look nice.
Thank you. This is everybody, this is an experiment for us. This is not a tried and true laddering bead that these drops. This is Janice just going rogue and saying, I don't know if have you seen anyone use these drops? Anyone out
No.
there? Is this something that's familiar to you? Because I didn't see it anywhere and I just kind of said, Oh, why don't I try? I'm the one who said, let's get, oh, see, now I'm trying to go back and I
without
haven't
going
gone
around the leather.
around,
Yeah.
haven't gone around. So let me go around.
No, I think it's great. And I really think it's important, when you have, and all of you to some extent have a working knowledge of the different types of beads, right? And this laddering isn't too difficult. And when you kind of experiment, you can stumble upon these happy accidents, and decide what works for you and what doesn't. Erica is saying that the drops give a great texture to the piece, and it really does. I have the piece in person here, and I really like the texture that it imparts to this piece. So, Janice, you're going to show us. You've done those bars
Mm-hmm.
um, side by side. Now you're doing the tile.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're going to do the drops next.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to finish, I didn't see it on there, but you did some offset with the bars.
Yes.
And we'll
Yes.
show that one as well, and I'll
Yeah.
I'll, I'll show that to you. But you can see with the CzechMates tile, you're just laddering one hole at the top, one hole at the bottom. Easy, easy. Now with the drops, if you were going directly into the drops here, Janice, would you kind of add a little bit of a buffer of the 11 aughts in between?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. I just instinctively did that. I didn't try it next to a tile. Why don't
Hmm.
we try it next to a tile? I think they need a little more
A
room.
little bit of breathing room.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So Janice that used the 11 aughts, she used 5 in this one,
Yeah.
4 in the
Yeah.
sample. Just decide what works for you. But that 11 aught, one row, two rows, whatever, adds just a little bit of a space buffer because the drops are tall. So they need a little bit of room to kind of move around in. And if the drops were butted up against that checkmates tile, it it might not have enough air to just look graceful on
Right.
this wrap.
So this is the 4 compared to the 5.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's just a personal choice what you want to
Hmm.
do. This is going to make it a little thinner. You'll see as I bring this back through that the leather curves in a little bit, gives it a little bit more of a waistline.
Hmm. No, it looks good. And again, decide how many strands you want here or rows you want here. I think Janice is just going to do that single and she'll go right
Into
into
the drops, yeah.
the drops. Now, with the Miyuki, I mean, sorry, with the Checkmates tile, um, we did drop, she did 3 across,
Mm-hmm.
and that seemed to take up the right amount. Now, let's say that you were doing a wrap bracelet, maybe that was wider, and I was talking with Emily about this. Let's say that we're doing something that needed to be a little bit wider. You could put a drop, an 11-aught, a drop, an 11-aught, and a drop if you wanted. If you wanted a little more space, if you needed that in between, you could incorporate some 11-aughts in that row. But these, with this size that Janice did, they just bunch up next
Mm-hmm.
to each other really nicely.
So the only trick to these is making sure you go back through every single bead,
Hmm. Every single drop. Or,
every single drop. Yeah, you have to make sure. And sometimes you have to like, um, I'm going to just hold this thread. This is the thread that I came this way with. I'm just holding it with this hand while I pull this in. I'm sorry, you can't really see what I'm doing. So I've gotten 2 through. Now I have
mhm,
to get the 3rd through. Most of the time you can get all 3, but you definitely want to check each row before you go on to go further to make sure you got all of them on. And if
mhm.
you didn't get them all on, then you want to pull the thread out with the eye of the needle coming through. You don't want to try and bring your needle back through. You come back this way,
Backwards, yeah, with the eye.
backwards. So you'll come this way and then come through. Okay?
Looks good.
So I'm not so sure how great these are going to be for, and make sure you go under. I don't know how great they're going to be for, doing patterns with different colors. Like I
Hmm.
started over here, and this one is part of this row, and I think it's just gotten looser because
Hmm.
I've been not paying it enough attention. Let me make sure this is, yeah, this is part of this one. See, it's just gotten loose. But
But
now
if
I
I had
have,
the right tension, it might work.
I'm sorry, what?
If the tension is, a little
Yeah.
more
See,
even, I
now
think
it's,
it would work.
yeah, now
Hmm.
it's holding up. I'm going to just go back to this one for a minute. And let's just put a row of, I'm just going to undo my thread if I can. I had it all perfect. Oh, there we go. I am such a believer in these little cards. Okay, so I went through and back on all of them. My thread is fairly tight. And now
Hmm.
I'm going to take the 4. I don't know if you can see me. Let me push these up so you can see.
Yeah, there we go.
And then I'm just going to put the 5 on, not the 4. So, Kate, did you see? I'm always thinking about Allie and her wrap bracelets. Did you
Hmm.
see the one she did recently with the little houses and the seed beads?
Oh, wasn't that just gorgeous?
Oh,
Yes.
it's on the bead table, everyone, and it's just the bee's knees because
Yeah.
she's created a pattern, and that's why 5 would work better if you're doing a pattern than 4 would, because you can like come to a point
You
with
have a
one
center
color
point.
bead
Yeah.
and it's in the
Yeah.
middle uh of the wrap. But it's just,
It's
I
also
don't know. Are you
on
able to
our,
grab a picture of
yeah,
that?
I could try that. It's also on our Beadshop social. So if you go to Instagram for Beadshop, you should be able to see it. But let me see if I can grab a screenshot of it. It was used with Dria's monthly mix this month was called
Mhm.
uh,
Called Rockport was the
no,
mix.
no, the mix was called Townhouse,
Oh,
I think.
see, this is what happens.
And uh, So I think it was. I think that's what I put on the label. But it's really it's loading here, so I'm going to see if I can find it.
What was called
Um,
Rockport?
no, the mix. Bear with me here, just a second.
Is Old
Where
Town.
the mix is Old Town. That's what it's
But what
called.
is Rockport?
I could not tell you.
Something that, oh, see now, something is
He,
named Rockport.
it is, but I don't know what it is. Hang on. Let me
Is
see
it
here.
is it something that Drea made?
Maybe I'll have
I
to
just
look.
realized Drea's name is Deer.
What?
Drea, Drea is also Deer, Dear.
Right.
Same letters. Okay,
Same
so I
letters.
have 5 and 5. And what do you want me to do? I'm on this one now. This has got a longer thread. What do you want me to do now?
So let me hang on. Let me show you
Oh,
this.
yeah, right.
I
See, I
want to
already
show
forgot
you.
about that.
I want to show you this.
Okay, I'm going to
Bear
do
with me
the
here.
quarter tileless now. And gold,
Yeah,
the gold ones would look great with this. I love the
they
gold
would.
too.
So let
Um,
me add this. Can you see here, folks? I just put it up on the screen over here on the right-hand side. That wrap, how the little row houses are are just built there into the
Oh,
pattern. Really
God.
cool. And she used 5 of the beads across, 5 of the 8 dots.
Yeah, and
So,
then are they 8 aughts?
yeah, they're 8 because they're from the mix.
Okay. Oh, that's right. That's right. And then
Mhm,
she used
mhm,
the tilas, not the tiles,
mhm,
but the
mhm.
tilas.
The Tylos, yeah, it looks
I
great.
just, my mouth is always open when I look at anything that she does. Allie is
Yeah.
just,
And
uh,
can you see the little windows in here? These are the quarter tilas that Ali used for the windows. They look really great. So what Janice is using here, she's using that same quarter tile. She's going to go ahead and put the 4 on,
mhm.
and she'll ladder those, and then we'll finish up with the offset bars. We'll show you that.
Okay. I also want to show how to end the macrame. So we have,
Right. We'll do that after we do that
okay.
last
So
sample of the bars.
So I wanted to say that the tilas, if you can see, they have like a little tiny one, a hood or something. They're a little
Hmm.
rounded on one side versus flat on the other. I don't really pay that any mind.
I
Uh,
don't either.
I sort of like them all mixed up because it gives me more texture. So could we maybe put 5 with the 5? Um, We're going to have to see if these drops work. Everyone out there, I want you to make one of these bracelets and then get back to me on if you like it or not. It's an experiment. I don't always experiment, but this time I did. Let's look at 5 of the quarter tilas.
Yeah. I
And
think 5 might be a little, well, no, it works.
I
Look
like
at the 5.
5 better. Do
Yeah.
you?
Yeah. Looks good with the 511 knots.
Yeah. I didn't tighten this enough, I don't think.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
oh
that's
well.
why this is a sampler.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, going back through, don't do what I used to do, which was just go to the second hole.
Right.
You have to go to the first one and then the second one. Oh, I remember when I used to go through the second one and then I'd start a new row of beads here, going that way, and I'd go,
Yeah,
"Why is that sticking up like that?"
that's right.
Oh,
You have to do each complete hole, one independent hole at a time. So from the left to the right, back from the right to the left in the same
mhm.
hole. And you can see how those 5 quarter tilas fit in
Yeah,
there really
yeah,
nicely. And Janice is just going to go back through. Now, the I'm going to show it on this. I'm going to add this here so you can see this. This is the offset
yeah.
version of this. So we're going to play around with that. And you can see how Janice started it with here's the here's the bar, it's in the center, and there's an 11-aught on the left and on the right. Just depending on how much space you need, but you need to start it out with the 11-aught, and then she'll jump down and put on the bar, and the bar will kind of take the place of that 11-aught.
You know what
So the
I didn't do,
uh-huh.
Kate, is I didn't do when you just did the Bargello. Remember with
Right,
this?
that's the one you're going to do next. Yeah.
Oh, is that what I did? Did I do what you did?
Yeah, that's what this is the next one that you're going to do.
Oh, okay. Um, I'm
This
looking at
the
my notes.
Bargello. Yeah.
Uh, okay,
And
so we
I
start
did,
off,
someone
we
wanted the
started
close
with an
up. Let
8,
me,
right? Did I use an 8?
no, you used an 11. Let me get it on
11,
the,
okay.
let me get it on the
Okay, so
screen and let
11,
me, there's a, so
and
see here how Janice has the, and I'll show it at the beginning. Let me
let me get
zoom in.
2 of these beads up
Let me
here.
get rid of these beads.
So it was 111 and
111, 1 bar, and 111.
okay, I think it's going to be too small on this one now. So let's
Right,
see.
because of the 5. So you
Yes.
could put, it could also just pull in a little
Yeah.
bit,
Yeah.
or you could taper down from 5 to
Mhm.
4, whatever works. But let me get Janice back on the screen so you can see what she's adding here. So there's that 11. There's
Okay.
the
I
bar.
think we need the 2 here.
2? Okay.
Yeah, if you're going to do it with 5, I think it would be better with 2 than 1, and then let's see how the 2 look. It's going to be
Mm-hmm.
a little bit wider, but I see, I didn't think everything through, and I just said, let's do 5.
Well, it doesn't matter because then, you can pull it in a little bit. But
Yeah.
again, this is your sampler. This is your experimentation. So you won't know otherwise.
Mhm. Huh. Okay. So let's say this is a bit wider here. Okay? Let's try it.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the question while you're doing that, Karen has a question and she says, have the check bead manufacturers given any thought to making check beads with larger holes like the seed beads? It would be great if they did. I
Ugh,
think a
what a great
lot
idea.
of, yeah, I think a lot of the check beads like this, they've kind of standardized a little bit, like the CzechMates tiles. Those are all cousins from the same family. So the hole sizes, they want to be very, what do I want to say? Very
Consistent.
consistent throughout and stuff like that. So, and many of like the seed beads that Janice is using in here, they are the Japanese seed beads, and then these beads are the Czech. So you can see that Janice is adding that 11-aught. See that there? Because it needs just a little more room at the end to take it up. That was smart, JP. I would have just thrown on the CzechMates bars and said, that's what I'm going for. But it's nice to have that little bit of a spacer there.
Well, I'm just experimenting to see if
If it's going to fit.
it's gonna fit, and I think it will.
Yeah, and then you can drop down
It
to
will
just the
change the
3
pattern though, won't it?
a little bit.
Yeah,
Well, let's keep going.
yeah,
You can add the 3 bars
yeah. We
um,
might even be able to add 5 bars.
below. Yeah.
Let's
So let me get the bars
mm,
back up
yeah.
so you can
So when
see.
you're experimenting like this and you want it to go wider, you have to support it for a few rows. You can't just do like one and then, okay, now I'm going back to the other thing because it's almost like engineering. You have to
Mhm.
build the bridge so that it's supported. So let's put on, I'm not going to try to, I mean, I guess we could add, I'm not going to add another, I'm not going to add another bar yet. I put the one single 11 on. I'm going through the bottom hole of that tila. Did
Mhm.
I have, do I have another bar here?
Yeah, you have
On the
another
third?
bar.
No, no, I know that, but I think maybe why don't we add like another color?
Oh, another color. Sorry.
Yeah, let's let's try this. Let's see what this looks like. I'm banging into everything. I'm so sorry, everybody.
No,
Um,
you're doing fine, JP.
this is
Push that up a little more to the center screen, Janice, just a hair. And
is that
up just a little. There you go. Good.
is it really focused? I have my
Hmm.
close-up glasses on, so I can't really tell you. So I'm putting on another color, which is right here. Then I'm going through this second hole.
Hmm.
And then I'm going to add the last 8-aught. And then there's one right here waiting for me.
It's 11, right?
The 11, yeah. Did I
11.
say 8?
You said 8, but it
Oh,
doesn't. It doesn't matter as long as it's consistent. I really like how the 11-aughts look along the outside of this.
Oh, Kate, would you do a favor? And the
Hmm.
project map really doesn't show the Bargello. When the project map twists, they're
Hmm.
sort of on their side. Can you hold it up, and then people who want to do a screenshot
Yeah,
of
let me
that
do
part
that
of the
layout one
bracelet?
more time. So here's that section Janice is talking about, like the one that I showed you earlier. So here's where it starts. And you can see she had the 4 seed beads above it, the size 11s. And then she used 111, 1 bar, 111. And then she went right into that offset Bargello. So with what she's doing today, she's just adding an 11-aught along the outside. This one doesn't have the 11-aughts added because it's a little skinnier, but you could do it either way. So this is the time, if you want to take that screenshot, now's the time to do it.
So I went through another
Let
11
me
on.
let me
Oh,
get
sorry.
you back. No, let me get you here. Okay.
I came back through these, the top of that, came
Hmm.
back, and I'm starting another row, and I'm adding another 2-hole bar, going through the bottom hole of that bronze one, and then I'm going to add another 2-hole, um,
And the 11.
and then the 11, and then you have to make sure you go back. I know saying it gets old, but it's
Yeah, people really love how the bars are staggered like this. It looks really
mhm,
great. So Janice, we're going to have you wrap this one up literally, and
yes,
then we're going to talk about actually doing the closure portion
yes,
for this because we're going to
yes.
need a few minutes for that.
Okay. So you talk about what you did over the summer while I do this, okay?
My Summer Vacation by Kate Richburg.
Now, what are
Um,
you doing actually at the retreat? You're sewing?
I'm sewing. So,
Wanna show us what you're
uh,
sewing while I'm doing this?
you can go to my social, you can go to my Instagram at Bead Kate, and I'm going to post some more of my stuff
Is
there.
that
But
a yawn?
it, you know,
Are you
you know how
yawning?
you say my voice puts you to sleep. It's the same thing. I'm over here, and it's really cold in this. The nuns do not heat this room,
Oh,
so I'm like huddled in my turtleneck. So let me also hydrate a little bit. But it's really fun. We're creating patterns, or it's kind of improvisational sewing by this pattern maker called Tina Givens, Tinagivens, Tina Givens. And her website is SEW, Tina Givens. And it's very, again, like I say, improvisational. We're sewing with a lot of linen and interesting fabrics. I'll share some more photos, but if you go onto my Instagram, you'll see some of this stuff.
what is improvisational sewing?
Well, you take a pattern, kind of a basic pattern that she does, and then she shows you how to put, like, I don't know, a pocket here or a cuff there, or it's very loose and kind of
Mhm.
flowy and kind of fun. So it's a lot of fun to play around with, and everyone has really vibrant and interesting fabrics. So it's a lot of fun. I'm also here. Some of you in the bead world know our friend Marcia DeCoster. Marcia is a very accomplished seed beater, and we've taught together at Bead and Button and stuff like that. Marcia is here sewing with me. It's great. We've got sewists from all over California,
Oh,
and
wow.
Marcia is a super talented sewer as well. So she's actually going to give us a little bead class a little bit later on
Oh,
this afternoon. So we're mixing some beads and some sewing, so it's fun. My mom was asking, was it still snowing? It was snowing earlier today, but now the sun is out, so it's pretty nice here. It's a pretty nice
so you
day.
must be in the foothills of the Sierras.
Yeah, not
Not
quite.
that I'm
Auburn,
stalking you, but you must be, right?
no. Auburn, yeah, Auburn's a little outside of Sacramento, which is our state capital here in California. And so we're not quite in the foothills. We get a little bit of elevation here, but it's very nice. It's nice.
Mm.
So can you see how Janice has finished that off, finished it like she started with the motif tapering down to one bar with the two 11/0 on either side. And then she's got the size 11s going across in with 5 over there.
Right.
Now Janice is going to taper it down, and we're
Mhm.
going to add the clasps. So remember, when you start a wrap and when you finish a wrap, that tapering is really important. And Janice, you're just going to taper with 11/0
Yeah, I'm
for
just
this.
well,
Yeah.
actually, no,
Just
I'll taper with bars. I'll just go to
okay.
2 bars now and then 1 bar.
Okay.
Let's,
In one bar.
make
Okay.
sure everyone gets to see, didn't I end with bars?
How that's close. Let me see. You
I
did.
Yeah.
It's ended and started. And I'll show you, I'm going to flash this on the screen, Janice, while you're doing that. I'm going to show you the sample here. So here, let me get there. You can see the bars have started the piece there and have ended the piece over here. So that's the taper that we've got there. Let me zoom out just a little bit. That looks pretty good there. Okay. So now let me go back to Janice's looming, or the laddering she's doing. She's gone down to 2, and each of those bars each hole is laddered individually, and then we'll do this last one. And then the macrame, it's very similar, just a little different, but not difficult at all. And it's a great way
Yeah.
to finish it off.
We just need, in order to get the thickness of the macrame with the KO, we just need
Hmm.
to have 4 threads. And right now we
Hmm.
only have 2. So what we're
Hmm.
gonna
So
do
Janice is
is
going to
we're
show
gonna
you. Yeah,
add a thread.
add a thread. Hmm.
So you definitely, this one, you don't wanna cut corners. You definitely wanna reinforce, um, the last one. Maybe you skip
Hmm.
one before it if you're like, you have to catch a bus or something. But, you definitely wanna get this last one reinforced so that when the clasp moves back and forth, this little bead is staying put.
Yeah, it doesn't want to move anywhere.
Yeah,
Now, you were what we're calling the Bargello portion, which is kind of the offset checkmates,
this
uh,
section.
or check bars. Yeah, it really is fun for a motif. You could do a bunch of different color motifs
Mhm.
for this. It would look really, really nice. I actually have to move my computer to get myself closer to a plug. So you're going to see a different background here. I like to play
Okay.
power chicken with my plug, as you know. Oh, look, there's a plug right underneath my table. Why didn't I check that
Did
sooner?
you hear today Gloria Steinem was on, she's in that, um, Abu Dhabi, United Arab
Mm,
Republic, doing that
mm-mm.
women's conference, and
Oh,
she said
mm-mm.
one thing that we can't laugh. I was just laughing, and she just said the one emotion that no one can make you do is laugh. It's
Yeah,
real or it's not real.
right.
Okay.
You can't fake it. So see, push that up just a little bit
Yeah.
towards the center of the
Okay.
screen, JP. Um, and then Kathy is asking, would this design work with 2 needles if you go 1 needle from the right and 1 needle from the left? I think it's actually better and easier to do a doubled thread and use that single needle, but you could certainly try it.
Yeah.
I think there are some people that use the right and left method. If you're comfortable laddering that way, that would also work. But I
I
like
use
the
the right
infinity
and left
stitch.
method for years, the traditional
Hmm.
laddering, and
Hmm.
you can do this to answer the question. Yes, the pattern would be the same. You're going to have maybe some difficulty going in both directions with some of these drops. It may not be
Hmm.
as easy, but the pattern is virtually the same, don't you think, Kate?
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It
Okay,
is.
so now I've reinforced this last one. If I had a little more time, I would just move this up a little bit, but I know we're running short on time, so I'm
Hmm.
going to just ask you to kind of go along with it. And then I'm going to, I don't know, oh, here are my snips. I'm going to take the needle, I'm going to cut the needle off because I don't need it right now. Um, and then I'm going to separate these threads like so. Then I'm going to take a new piece of KO, and you don't need maybe more than 18 inches or something. But, and this, part of why I think this project was getting like curly is I'm at the very end of the KO.
Hmm. Where it's
It's,
really
and it's
tightly
much
has a lot of
curlier.
curl to it. Hmm.
It's much curlier. And I think that's what was happening. So I think maybe waxing it might have helped. So I'm putting the second thread evenly underneath the leather. Let me just move
Hmm.
these beads out of the way. So I now have what I virtually had at the beginning, which is two threads. Um,
Right. So that new thread that's just laying underneath
yeah,
and the
they're not
old thread that was split.
right. If you're new at this and you want to put a knot in to just bring your cords together, it's not going to show. Let me do that and I'll show you. I'm just going to do an overhand. Just helps you manage the threads a little better.
Hmm.
Um, you could, you can do right over left, left over right. No one's going to notice. You could do this on the back side if you want. And I have to, uh, here we go. I'm just going to do it the once because I'm so used to
Hmm.
just going into it. So now I'm going to,
Again, Janice, push up a little more towards center if you can, once you get
I
that
can,
tightened.
I certainly can.
There we go. So Janice, when do we make the loop on this? You're going to make several macrame knots, and then we need to loop the clasp through, correct?
Um, I'm trying to think of this backwards. Can you show me let me look, where's my,
Yeah.
um,
So if we're here,
okay, so we're here, exactly. So um, this is what I want to do. I completely forgot about this. Isn't that funny? Not really.
well,
Let me,
no, that's why that's why you have to. It's great to have a wingman or wing woman.
yeah, totally. I need let me put it on here because the
So
needle just
if
now pulled out.
So if there is, like, let's say that we were finishing this off in a traditional manner, and this was just a button and loop. Right
Right.
here, Janice would put her macrame, she'd tie it off or glue it off, then leave a hole for her button, and then she would macrame or tie a knot. So that's the loop. But since we're using the magnetic clasp, the the leather has to loop around.
Mm-hmm.
So the leather is going to come up. One of the sides of the leather is
Mm-hmm.
going to be a little bit longer. It's going to come up, loop around, and then capture the clasp.
Right. I want to make sure I start on the correct side. So I've added some glue between the two legs of the leather. Did you see that, Kate?
Yep, that GS hypo, just
Yes.
to hold all of that together.
Yes. I want to make sure I have the right side, correct side, I mean. I'm going to do a couple more of these. I'm going to do one more.
Okay, looks good.
Now I would let this dry,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to let it dry. And then let me get another clasp.
What you would do if it was magnetic, you could just use the other half of your clasp.
Yeah, you could,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But I am,
You don't want to take it off the board.
yeah. So this then, I want to make sure I have the correct side. Now, if you prefer doing this, let's say with like fine weight Ceylon, you want to do these ends with fine weight or something, you can. But I'm going to take this, clip this down here. So this is, I've, what do I want to say? I've
Well, you
folded
kind
over,
of put it,
folded it
yeah,
over.
folded it over. And Janice, push that up more towards the center as well. We're losing the clasp and everything.
Oh,
It's not in frame. There we go. So
okay.
now what Janice is going to do is she's going to come back and macrame to hold that loop in place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. And see how she's kind of lining it up so the loop is flat. If she had a little more time, she could really finagle it down so that the loop is nice and flat.
Mm-hmm.
But get that last piece of cord into position. Once that's positioned, you can start to do your macrame. And what Janice is going to do, she's actually going to tie that clasp down because
Yep.
it's much easier to macrame on something that is taut rather than like that something is than something that is loose. So she's just going to use that little loop, put some thread through there, and attach it to the board.
Yay
So
to the
there's
twine, right?
there's some tension
Okay, I have
there.
to bring it back up a little more. Okay.
Once
Do
that
you know
tension
that
is
I
on,
only own 2 clampers?
that's crazy.
I know. I keep saying, oh, I have to order more.
Yeah, I got a bunch of clampers because
Oh,
mine were I needed a refresh.
nothing works like, I know they find legs like socks in the dryer.
Hmm. They do.
Okay, so I'm just taping this down to the end of the board. Okay, here we are. We're in good position now, right?
Yep, yep.
Okay. So I want to see, okay, I go on this side. And I also want to say that if you want to, before you even start the macrame, if you want to go like, well, you can't. Never mind. Forget I said that. You can't just cut one of these. You have to get them
It
glued down
needs,
together.
yeah,
There's, no other
yeah.
way.
Mm-mm.
So, okay. So
And
now,
so we're just going to continue with the macrame
yeah,
to encapsulate
exactly.
that that loose strand. And you could always add a
I'm
little
going to
bit
add some glue right now,
mhm,
actually.
more glue to get that nice and glued down.
Oh, that's no good. That's dry. Okay. I need one of your toothpicks, Kate.
I know.
The needle came out of this thing.
Yeah, that's happened to me too. Of course, it happens when you're on air.
Yeah. I mean, I can get it back in. I
Yeah.
just, okay.
And see there, that double strand just comes in. It's going to hold everything together. And Janice is going to go ahead and add a few more macrame knots.
Yeah.
And you can use fewer knots at the beginning if you
I
want.
went too far, I think.
I would do at least 2 sets. So
Oh,
you
yeah.
have 2 full square knots. And
Yeah.
then you could do that clip and then do like maybe 4 coming up here. With what Janice has measured out, she's got about room for maybe 2 or 3 full square knots, which is also fine. But the thing about making this join so successful is really putting that glue in there and then letting this fully cure and dry overnight so
hmm
it's nice and set. This isn't something that you just want to come in, macrame, glue, cut the tails, and wear it to dinner. You really want this to have a moment to cure.
And I'm a little irritated with myself because one of these threads, when I was doing this, I didn't make it long enough. So,
Mm. So you have one short thread and one
yeah,
long
I have
thread.
one short one, so I may just have to drop it. And
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm getting the correct side. And then when I'm done, I'm just going to put these threads, I'm going to cut the leather once it's dry.
And you're going to put those threads back through there with
hmm
the needle trick,
hmm
like you did at the very beginning. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice trick, JP. It looks real nice.
thank you. Uh, oh, it's far from me.
Yeah, I do. I
And
know.
now I don't know do I have the right glasses on? I own 3 pairs of glasses. Actually 4.
There you go. That's right. That looks right. One last loop. We just need one last
Mhm.
knot.
It's like the last person in a marathon.
That's
Come
right.
on, you can do it. You can get over the finish line. Come on. I don't
So
know.
now Janice has those 2 sets of threads down
I've
there.
got 3 on
Now
one side
which
and 1 on the other. I don't know what's,
yeah, which is fine.
yeah.
Which is fine. And what she's going to do now is she's going to take each of those threads through individually.
Mhm.
Now, if she feels like she needs more glue, she can add it as she's putting the threads underneath. But I don't necessarily think that you might need that. I mean, you could do it at the very end, Janice, as well.
Yeah. And with this the way it is and the way I finished it, I think I probably would go over this particular one the whole way with some
The whole
C-line.
way. Hmm.
And because I'm not so crazy about this, you'll see um, when we finish,
Hmm.
I'm not going to be so crazy about how there we go. Oh, the clasp came undone. It's the magnetic one. Okay, so now I'm going to put these through. We're almost done. Thank you so much for being patient with me today.
No, it's looking great. I'm going to, while you're putting those on, Janice, I'm going to show this clasp here so everyone can see it. You can see with, here we go, with Janice's macrame that she's done here, see how you really just put a couple of those stitches in, then you remove that strand, macrame, 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 so that your beginning stitches, you definitely don't do more than half. You only do about a third. Cut the
Hmm.
leather, bring it through,
Yeah,
and then
I did too
do
many.
about 2/3, but it's just so you folks can see it on the air, but you can see. But again, you could also with these ends, if you wanted to go over them, as Janice said, with fine weight Ceylon or even micro Ceylon or even another layer of the KO, you could do that as well. Whatever, however you liked to see it. So Janice is gonna come in. You can see she's almost done. She's got one more thread, I
Two
think.
more, two more.
Two more
But I cut
threads.
the leather.
Hmm.
Can you see? On the
I do. So
original
go ahead
sample,
and move
I
this to
actually
the,
covered that with, maybe
yeah,
I'll,
there you go.
I actually covered this with like a little blue pen or brown pen,
Hmm.
or not
And
brown,
you'll
but
never see it.
yeah, and then you'll never see it. It looks
Yeah,
fine, actually.
yeah.
I'm gonna just, I think I have the wrong glasses on. Just what everyone likes to hear. So you
That's right.
too can do this with the wrong glasses on.
That's correct.
I need to do the thread the needle like Emily does.
Like Emily does. So while you're doing that, Janice, I'm going to just show everybody. People had a couple of questions. I'm going
Yes.
to show here's the sample. You can see it. The learn how to ladder with drops and two-hold beads. This sample is called Hydria. It's right over on beadshop.com. You'll see all the listing for the really all of the ingredients that Janice used. Someone asked earlier if we could flash that coupon code one more time. It's also on the homepage on the website for National Craft Month here for the month of March. It's craft 10, craft 15, craft 20, just depending on how much you spend. Enter that coupon code at checkout to get that discount. Janice, it looks like you are clipping away threads there.
Yeah. I just have this last one to do.
And
We
you
don't,
just have that last
yeah,
one
we don't
there.
have to all stay online while I do this last one. But yeah,
Well, while Janice is doing that one, I will continue to say, don't forget, everyone, you can find us on beadshop.com on Instagram. Lots of great samples and things that gets posted up there. If you do make anything with Bead Shop projects or products, please do tag us at beadshop.com, and we'd love to add you to our Instagram story for the day. Also, join us over at the Bead Table. It's our Bead Shop group. We are almost, I don't know, 7, 8,000. I don't know how many are over there, but it's a great resource to show off your work and to ask questions and stuff. And of course, hit that like, subscribe, and notification button right on our YouTube channel at beadshop.com. Now, I'm going to highlight Janice's piece one more time so you can see there she's gone through and it looks like she's going to just color that little
yeah,
tip
I have the wrong
in.
color green pen, but
Mhm,
I'm gonna just so you can see.
mhm. You can use your little permanent marker and
Yeah,
see how that just lets that blend
yeah.
in beautifully. Really beautifully done.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna bring us back up on the screen here. Janice, fantastic project. I know everyone loved this, loved, whoops, let me actually take
Oh,
this
you're
out
so
and take
sweet.
this out.
Everyone, thank
No,
you
it's
for
true.
watching. You know, thank you.
Janice, you did a great job. Everyone loves it. People are saying, they love the demo, they love the bracelet, they think the project is beautiful.
Mm,
So do go check it all out right over on beadshop.com.
yes.
On Friday, folks, I want to let you folks know We've had a little bit of fulfillment trouble with not fulfillment of your orders, but getting our product over to our fulfillment center just because from California outbound, there's snow. So if anything is going ground, there's been a little bit of a delay. So watch your newsletters because I know you wanted those cobblestone nuggets and they're coming.
Yes.
So watch your newsletters, please. And so soon when the snow melts, we'll be able to have it. So just keep a watch on your newsletters. Also, we're launching a bunch of our beautiful pieces that we've gotten from Tucson. So stay tuned for our Tucson finds. They're going to be rolling out in the next week, 2 weeks, and beyond. So we've got some wonderful things coming from you there. So, pardon me, Janice, fantastic demo, beautiful. Beautiful work. I've got the bracelet right here, so I'm going to put it on and go sew.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your retreat.
I
You need a
will.
break.
Well, it's a lot of fun. It's really, the nuns keep it cold in this room. So I'm going to go off to lunch, have some lunch, and then keep sewing. So I will see you folks live very, very soon. Janice, thank you again. And we will see all of you
Yeah.
live very shortly. Thanks, all.
Okay.
Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.